Alright, I was out here just stacking and splitting some wood today, and I was getting ready to make some kindling for this winter coming up. I always seem to be short of it. So I brought out one of my knives I started out with today, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to take out two of my other knives and just do kind of a review on them. This is not going to be a comparison of the different knives, just a review of each one and show you kind of the differences. There's three customs. The first one I've got here is a knife made by knife maker that's local to me. His name is Dan Eastland. I don't know if you can read his mark right there. And it's a Dogwood custom knives. This is his hiking buddy knife, and it's more of a bushcrafter type knife. It's 01 tool steel. He does the stock removal knife making method, and it's got red G10 handles on this particular one. This is a pretty plain example of his work. He makes some fancier things. As you can tell, it's got a pretty heavy patina built up. I've actually used this knife quite a bit on a couple of hiking trips and camping trips and things like that. Used it in the kitchen quite a bit, so it's not corrosion. It's just patina built up on there, so it's still quite smooth to the touch. It's got a fairly high, what he calls his saber grind, and then a secondary bevel down here at the edge. It slices like a dream. I've beat on this knife, as you can see right there. I've hammered it a little bit, even though that's considered abuse by the maker. I've done it, and it's really no worse for wear. Sharpens up really easily and keeps an edge for a long time. And the reason I brought it out in these other two new ones, these are two new ones I got from a guy that also is local to me. His name's Andy Roy. Of his company is called Fiddleback Forge. These are two identical models, and they're called the Bushfinger. But you can tell they're a little bit different. One actually belongs to me, and this one belongs to my son, and I'll explain the difference between the two. This one Andy made for me. It's made out of his stainless that he does. He doesn't make very many stainless knives, but this one's made of S35VN, and I gotta tell you, the fit and finish on this knife is absolutely perfect. There's not a single flaw to be found anywhere on either of these knives. They are just absolutely gorgeous. They're extremely comfortable in the hand. Dan's is too. Very, very comfortable. Like I said, this knife was a little bit less because it's pretty. It's a little bit more of a plain knife. It's not by any means one of his fancier builds that he does. But this thing is just really a work of beauty. It's got maroon linen with some natural canvas pins. It's Andy's very distinctive bullseye lanyard. He normally grinds his what he also calls a saber grind is fairly, midway up the blade, like it is on this example. On this one that I've got, this my knife, it's fairly high, which I actually like because it seems to me to make the edge a little bit thinner, and it seems to slice a little bit better than these lower saber grinds do. So this is the stainless one, and this is the same model again. The Bushfinger. This one's in white linen micarta. This knife belongs to my son. Got it for him as a gift. Here's Fiddleback Forge's maker's mark right there. White linen, natural canvas pins. His bullseye lanyard, and this one's got what Andy calls his 3D spalted finish on it. This is 01 tool steel, whereas this is the stainless. Really tough cutlery steel again, and these things just come razor sharp again, just completely smooth, fit and finish, just top notch. I don't know if you can see, but we're already getting some patina on this knife, which is okay with me. I'm not a collector, I'm a user, and we use these knives. My son's in scouting, and he uses it quite a bit. So we're just going to do a few little cutting things today, and see. I suspect that this knife will be a much better slicer than this knife, just because of the thinness of the edge. However, this knife will have more meat on the, in the middle of the blade, so in theory it should be stronger. But I know that this knife slices well. I brought an onion out. We're gonna slice these things with these, slice this onion with these things, and see how it does. So let's start with the Bushfinger here with the maroon scales. Like I said, I got an onion, part of my bandage on my finger. I've torn a tendon in my finger, so I got to wear this thing for 8 weeks. But we'll just start with this and just kind of see how it does. I just got both of these Bushfingers, and it's really pretty effortless so far. this outer layer off here where I can do some better slicing for you guys. I hope my chicken's like onion. We'll see. Maybe we'll make the eggs taste like onions. I won't have to put any in my omelet. So let's just see if we can. Of course, you know, it's not a kitchen knife, but it is certainly much more functional in this role than about 99% of the other outdoors hunting type knives that you get. You know, your buck 110s or you know, your Gerbers and things like that. You know, they just don't have very good edge geometry. This thing has a pretty fine edge geometry, and it seems to slice really well. You know, I mean, you can tell they're little 1/8 inch, 16th inch slices. I'm sure I could go thinner, but I'm sitting about, you know, 2 feet away from my work here on my son videotapes. So that works pretty good. I'll try this other one here. Yeah, I can tell a distinct difference in the grinds. That other knife was cutting much easier. It's just funny because this knife is actually sharper than that other knife. The edge is actually sharper than the stainless one, but because this one has a much stouter edge profile than that other one, it's not slicing as efficiently. This would be more your rough use outdoor beat on it type knife, which is also ironic because it's, in my opinion, the fancier, you know, looking of the two. But it's going to be a user. I mean, my son's definitely going to use it. And you know, I mean, it's slicing, but it's certainly no kitchen knife. We're going to do some batoning with it here in a few minutes, and we'll see how that does. And here's Dogwood Dan's little hiking buddy knife, and it slices just fine. I've used this in the kitchen quite a bit, and you can tell that thing just slices those things nice and thin. It's a pretty good little camp knife. When I go hiking, I use it for everything, from food prep to tent pegs to whatever I got to do. And it works just fine. All right, well that's that. Let me cut this video off, and we'll be right back, and we'll do a little bit of batoning with these things, see how they do.